everyone. Welcome to 2024 IPPA Online Piano Pedagogy Series. My name is Dr. Emma Shi from Vancouver, Canada. Today, I'm very happy to share my teaching experience with all of you. I'd like to talk about the secret of music notation. I hope everyone can get some inspiration from my experience. Let's get started. Let's start from some fundamental ideas of piano playing. When we mention how to play the piano, 3 types of playing ways will pop up: legato, non-legato, and staccato, which refer to another vocabulary, articulation. Articulation directly connected to music expression. That is the core, spirit, the final target of the piano playing. I still remember the first time I'm seriously to think about how to teach students to read notation, understand articulation, is when I taught the piano First Blood in G minor, Opus 23, the very famous beginning. The student and I spent quite a long time to discuss how to play those notes both and sync together, and what's the relationship from one note lead to another one, where is the peak, how to present it, what is the touch, what is the dynamic, essential. From that moment, I realized let student understand the meaning behind of notation is such important things the student should learn. From then, I start to summarize and classify types of articulation. When I offer masterclass, sometimes I ask a student, do you know how many types of legato? The student usually, the most of them, gave me the first feedback is, what? Is there more than one legato? Mostly they tell me one, the slur. Or they're confused. Is there more than one? Okay, I give you guys a couple of seconds to think about this question. How many types of slur or how many types of legato do you know? Time's up. I will show some examples. And after my example, you tell me it's the same or different. The first example from the Cloverdale Sonatina in G major. So that's the first one. Second one, let's do Schumann of Foreign Lands and People. Next example, let's see Chopin Nocturne. All right. Above all, the 3 examples, are they belong to the same legato playing or differently? The answer is obviously, it's belong to different type of legatos. But from the notation, it just slurs. But the why and how we're using different touch to perform. Legato is that kind of the puzzle. Same idea, so same as non-legato and then staccato. Let's back to my question. How many types of legato do you know? If I'm using 2 of my fingers instead of the 2 notes, let's see what's the difference. One type of legato is like a touch, right? Complete touch. So the second note will complete cover or coming from the first note. So it's like this, right? Like the Chopin. If even I didn't using pedal, but it sounds really legato. Second type might be like this, right? Just a tiny bit touch, but not lots of connected. So this one could be here, the Schumann one. So all the melodic line, there has some touch up, but not overtone. But left hand is a different type. If we're still using two fingers to indicate what's this type, it might be like this, right? Like the pearl necklace, two beads stand side by side. So not connected too much, but definitely they are linked to each other. There has some strong relationship between each other. So that's kind of this one. In this kind of like, let's keep going back to the Cloverdale sonatina. The right hand. It's very clear, right? The sound is like very clear sound. It's still playing as a legato, but it's not touch, touch, touch. It kind of like there has a small distance between two notes, right? There has some space, not like that. We need the clarity. Just the fingertips very clear, but we still provide the shape, the dynamic shaping, the contour of those melodic lines. Meanwhile, left hand. We're using some finger pedal to indicate for the bass. Right. So the finger pedal note kind of like a little bit of touch up, but the top three, the arbitrary basses, from second note to the fourth one, is like same idea of either this one or connected. About 3 examples, it shows at least 4 or 5 type of legato already, right? So today, I would like using some examples to show how can we understand the notation. What's the relationship between the notation and articulation? Let's look at the next example. The Mozart Sonata in B flat major. The second movement written in the E flat major. The first puzzle. Look at the slur. The first slur, not the 3 notes, it's 4 notes. 4-note slur. And the G and the E flat, if we counting the beats, it belongs to the beat 3. That is the medium beat, not the weak beat. We consider this one belong to the strong beat, right? But we don't give accent on the strong beat, because it's the end of slur. So these notes, we have to provide very gentle, very smooth ending of the short slur. It's not the end. It's linked to the next phrase, start right away. In the first 2 measures, It's include 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 short slurs. But we don't play in this way. We're not doing like that, right? So if we play in that way, then there's no any music. So we try to provide the first 4 measure as one phrase, one sentence. So no matter how many short slur it appear here, we still consider overall it's a one long phrase. The second puzzle, in measure 3, there's a 4 staccato note. If we treat those staccato notes just as normal way, what we learned, probably we will do this. But this kind of staccato not match the style of the second movement of Mozart sonata. So those staccato, first of all, we still try to play going up. Staccato still the direction going up, but not too sharp. Give it a more warm tone. We're using more forearm, the bouncy wrist, to provide those notes, those staccato, rather than sharp attack. So overall, the first 4 measures we will do that is a delicate articulation related to all those notation. Next part here. My question is, what is left hand? We can consider this is a non-legato, but this non-legato, we consider the notes is kind of this distance, right? There has some certain space, but definitely still put all the beams in one necklace. And the right hand do the short slur. The rest for timing. So we still have the short slur, right? But we are not really give the breath in the rest part. Physically, one breath for 4 measure again. That is a phrase. In this section, we consider non-legato. It's part of the distance legato, right, in the left hand. Right hand, the short slur, the rest, physically maintain for one breath and consider all 4 measure in one phrase. Of course, it's written in minor key, the C minor here. So overall, the color is a little bit dark, a little bit blue. If we consider the third movement, here the staccato part. Consider the second movement staccato. This is another different type of staccato. Okay, let's compare what's the difference. The second movement staccato, if you see my hand play, you can see I lower my wrist, feels like the palm, like tap the bowl. And give more flat finger. So my touch currently is a little bit flat. So the sound, what I produce is not too harsh, too stiff. It's warm. But you still can feel the sound is going up, direction is going up. The third movement here, the staccato in third movement are using more finger staccato. We need a more shorter sound, sharp tone, right? So even in one piece, second movement, third movement, the staccato belong to two different types. The same notation, staccato, happening in second movement and compared with third movement, now we know it belongs to completely different two types of touch. Right? So the character for the third movement is more lively, vivid, happy, but the second movement is more lyrical, singing style, slow tempo. So the tone we produce for the second movement and the third movement should belong to different touch. All right, when we talk about the legato, of course, we can't skip Chopin. Chopin's nocturne is such a typical type of the legato we should learn. So let's have a look. His nocturne in E flat major. Know Chopin nocturne, according to the long phrase, we're looking for the small comma under the long phrase. The first small comma, comma, comma again, comma, period. There's another full measure structure phrase, but the different than the Mozart. The Mozart piece, there has small rest or the short slur, and we're looking for the long phrase instead. But here in Chopin's nocturne, according to the long slur, long phrase, we're looking for some parts we can have a short breath. So where I put the comma, that is the place. We should understand how to play the last note of the small comma, before the small comma. There is general rules for Chopin's music or any of the romantic composers' music. When we see the slur, first note and the last note, usually we treat them soft, especially the last note. I always told my students, don't give the accent at the end of the slur. So that note should give them special attention. Not too short, not too loud. Now let's have a look at the left hand part. Left hand, we have the bass with the staccato. Second and third notes is a short slur with the double notes. So with pedal, it sounds like. So that's our left hand pattern playing method, right? So the first staccato here, this one. So we treat this note, let it ring, right? So we want the sound is going up, so not push down. So this is the push down. It's too mechanical. If we want sing it better, let the sound going up. So what's the difference between the two types of playing? If observe my playing, the first one, if the note's going down, more or straight finger. That is more like Beethoven, Mozart, Cloud playing. But if we want more lyrical sound, flat finger, let it rain. What's the benefit for the flat finger? I believe all of you heard when you play the Chopin pieces, we use the flat finger to touch, right? So what's the benefit from that? This will introduce another kind of the concept, the speed of the touch. Okay, if this is the keyboard, if my right hand is the keyboard, when we're using the curved finger, the lifting finger playing way, so you can feel it's the speed of the fingertips touch pretty quick. And if I play on the board, you can hear the sound. This means when our finger play the key, attack the key, the speed of the hammer knock the string also fast, right? So the hammer inside of the piano will quickly knock the string here. So my fingers are strings, so the hammer will quickly knock the string, same as we attacked on the board. So there has a sound. But if we use the flat finger or we slow down the speed of the touch, even we still can using the flat, like the lifting finger to push down. But almost nothing you can hear, right? So this is now I use the lifting finger. If we use the stay on the key, so non-lifting finger, so all the fingers, you touch the keys before you push down, there's nothing can hear. So in this situation, the speed of the hammer knock the string is much slower than this one. That is this one. So the piano can make more overtone. The longer overtone, it's easier to connect from one note to another one. So that is the reason we can hear more legato or more non-legato. For the alt left flat finger playing, the speed of knock the string, the hammer knock the string, is much slower. So the overall nocturne, it sounds more legato. Let's keep looking for the next part. There has a very interesting sign, staccato under a slur, the potato. How can we understand the potato? So in my understanding, I treat potato as non-legato. So that means the direction of playing is going down. It's not like the staccato going up. We play direction, the hand and arm, the finger things going down. So it sounds like still have the direction, but now we consider the notes has a certain space. It's like this. But we still provide the shape, the dynamic shaping to arrive where we want to go. So I'm curious, potato, the type of notation like potato, do you want to classify those kind of notes belong to legato or non-legato or staccato? Another example I want to share It's from Greek, The Little Bird. It's in RCM Level 8 etudes book. This piece shows lots of good type of patterns. Let the student understand what is a short slur with staccato, accent on that note, on the staccato, accent on the first note, staccato only. So you can see this is what I summarize. 4 types of notation happen in this song. The first type, the 4 30-second note followed by an 8th note. This 8th note has accent, staccato, and it's also the short slur ends on this note. So what do we consider? How can we play the notes like that? We will do, right? So the accent gives the last one, and the direction is going up. That's the type 1. So compare with a similar one. It's the same 5 notes pattern, but without the accent. Like the measure 13, the accent happened on the first note, but the end of the staccato, the end of the slur, without accent. Right, that is the type of this kind of notes how to play. Compare with the beginning. That's a staccato with accent. From the accent starting on the first note and ends on the staccato only without accent, from this pattern we can see there has another 2 notes slur pattern. It's pretty similar. So here for both hands, that's this part. Third type is for the left hand. 8th note staccato, quarter note non-legato. Direction, up, down, up, down. So without any accent, just for the short and long. The fourth type, 16 notes with 8th note, and the 2 note slur, short slur on the first 2, and then followed by an 8th note only. Here. Again, direction. So down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up. Compare with another same thing, like the similar type. 16 with the 8th, but the accent for the following note. Here. That is down, up, down. It's different than the previous one, right? From this piece, we can see all the different type of notation, short slur, legato, accent. All of them relate to one main idea, that is direction of the touch. I believe everyone knows piano playing only related to up and down motion. Staccato, usually we consider staccato, all of them is going up. Non-legato, going down. Legato, going down. The end of the slur, we're lifting our arm or hand. This note is going up. No matter what kind of notation or the articulation, the main idea we have to think about the direction of our body. Physically moving, what is the direction of that? Next, let's talk about non-legato. I'd like to use the example from the level 9 intermezzo number 1 written by Pons. is written by the double notes, double third. For the double third, even there is a short slur, di, di, da, but with the repeated notes, ba, 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 it's very difficult to play legato. So overall, we treat all of the double notes as a non-legato. But we're still grouping them. So phrase, still our first priority. But now let's think about what's a playing way to provide those kind of sounds like a legato, but the playing method is non-legato. Using the rotation of the wrist. Plus, slow down the speed of the touch. Let the overtone can last longer. It's easier to connect to the next note. At the end of this page, there has a couple of measures include the two-note slur, but we are not playing as not like that, right? We still give the direction. The direction of the two-note slur, and though we consider those short slur under a long phrase, a long slur. Again, analysis the whole phrase, where it ends, where is the target note, where is the destination, and then begin to arrange those notes, begin with. So that's a peak. And we can overall give them a crescendo from, and then diminuendo, small crescendo again. So going to the peak and then do the diminuendo. Essential and essential. Next example comes from Greek Wedding Day at Troy Horgan. Let's have a look non-legato and staccato expression in a romantic repertoire. From the music score, we can see both hands play 16 notes followed by 16 rests. Left hand starting on downbeat play ostinato pattern. Or it's ostinato pattern. Right hand provide a melodic phrase based on 4 groups pattern. So every 4 notes as a group and it's 4 groups as a pattern. The whole section were composed of several times of a sequence. Eventually arrive to the last phrase. Left hand switch to staccato octaves. Once we know the texture, now let's think about the relation between dynamics and the touch in this section. The dynamics of the first 2 phrases is pianissimo. So hand direction is going down. When we play very soft sound, the arm movement usually is very minimum. But the right hand pinky, the finger 5 and the finger 4 provide the melodic line. Crescendo starts from the third phrase and lasts for 3 sequences. In the last phrase, more arm weight will cooperate because the dynamic range from the now is starting from the crescendo, so maybe from the mezzo 40 up to 40, eventually arrive to the fortissimo. Left hand plays staccato octave section. This passage, we provide the speed of the touch is pretty quick, right? Because the staccato articulation and also the 40. So for both of them, we quick push and provide the sharp and projected tone. Even the articulation of the entire passage is non-legato. We consider phrase direction more than playing direction. According to the phrases analysis, we know where the climax. So all the preparation serves for the big explosion of the eventually triple F dynamics. All right, the last example is more or less as a conclusion of my presentation. Let's see Bach Prelude and Fugue in C minor from Book 1. How many different types of articulation we can provide in this fugue? The music score I put on the screen is a word test edition. How to interpret the pieces which written in a clean edition? First of all, we will consider what the instrument we play. Are we going to imitate the sound of a harpsichord or clavichord? Or we just play this piece on a modern piano? Because the sound of imagination will determine what kind of touch we're going to use. So like, so this is what I'm using kind of non-legato, between the non-legato and the staccato. So the sound or the touch is more quick and attack. Or we can using that is more sustained. We're using the function of the modern piano. Secondly, we will consider the articulation. In the subject of the fugue, we can do that's the first type. We do the 16 notes with legato and 8th note as non-legato. Or we can do the opposite way. So that's the second way. Or we can combine both of them together. I play most of them in legato, but using a shorter slur to grouping those notes into the different slur. So above all, I gave 3 different types of articulation. We can see which one is the best. It depends on personal choice, personal taste, and what kind of the instrument we try to imitate. Last, no matter which type of interpretation you choose, always maintain your main idea through the entire piece. That can make your music in a consistent style. Above all is my presentation. I look forward to hearing your discussion. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Hello, Rosie. Thank you for
Hello.
this lecture.
Hi, Emma.
Hello.
Thank you for your lecture. That was amazing. I learned a lot, and again, I apologize for the for the little franticness at the beginning. But here is Emma, and then we will be doing our little discussion. And then, of course, anyone that have any questions, I know I have mine, but any teachers that's present that have any questions or any thoughts, please feel free to type it either in the chat or just go ahead and unmute yourself and then just jump in. I'm gonna get started with my question. What really, really caught my attention was at the end when you mentioned that there are gonna be unmarked scores. And I think there's going to be a lot of teachers that have similar questions as I do. So when we do have something that's clean, for example, like a lot of text editions for Bach, for Beethoven, um, how can we sort of go ahead and besides the instruments, and then a lot of scores are going to have unnecessary markings or like editorial things. So when that happens, how can we sort of differentiate between what we should do and then what's the added stuff?
That's definitely a good question. Like I spend a long time to determine what kind of edition I should recommend a student to use. But for myself, because during my doctoral period, my teacher always told me to read the music from the clean edition. So he's kind of a person because he's good at it for the contemporary music. He has a really great like logical analysis for any kind of the period music. His idea is we have to respect what is the composer's idea first. Like starting from reading the notes, from reading all, not just notes, all the signs. And like for example, like Bach, we know most Bach pieces starting from the offbeat. Lots of the prelude, and even he's writing some pieces starting from the beat one. But for the phrase, we still can understand it's offbeat phrase. It's cross the bar line, right? So once we have the background knowledge like that, and when we listen or when we sing humming the tune of the piece, we have some like the organic feeling of the phrase. I believe everyone will have it. When we sing, we're just humming one of the phrase, we know where we should have another breath. So usually that's the part. It's like where we put the comma, I call the comma. So, or just the breath mark. So that's the pause for a new phrase or just a short pause. Right. Yeah. So for most of my students, and even I believe including the RCM, all the books, the textbook in the RCM syllabus, the series, we see that's a word test edition. Yeah. So those like the clean version, it's based on teacher's understanding first. What is a phrase? What is the structure? What is the harmony? So definitely it's need teacher to have a strong background to understand those parts. Based on that, I trust to listen recordings. Lots of good different pianist interpretation. So we will see, like let the student feel, okay, which part the pianist do the rubato, accelerando, which part he gave the some special the pedal effect. Third thing, I will see other people's like edition. For example, like Cloud's sonata, we can see different edition, even for Beethoven sonata. But most Beethoven sonata are using the word test and the Cartol's edition and Schnabel edition. So that's the three editions I really rely on. Yeah, but that's the last thing. So step one, word test, the clean edition. Step two, according to the knowledge what we have and combine with the pianist recording. Third one is editor. Yeah, that's my steps.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, the additions, I really agree because some of the additions, especially the older editions that we see, there tends to be a lot of writing. For example, Beethoven sonatas, right? Now we have Henley, and Henley is great because it's clean and they put everything in the beginning so you can read it if you want to. But then some of the older ones, for example, the Schnabel editions or there's the Ted Baker editions, the red Vienna Universal editions. There's a lot of writing. They even mark out, like where's the primary theme, the secondary theme. So that I think, there's people that follow it, and then there are people who don't really, like it. But for me, I always think, especially with trying to figure out how you should play, and that dynamics, I think, is another big thing. Is a lot of them are not marked. For example, in Bach, let's go back to Bach, right? There
Yeah,
are no
Bach.
dynamic markings, right?
Yeah.
So what can you do? There's not really, you can't really see, okay, so I'm supposed to play piano here, forte here, especially for more intermediate level students.
Hmm.
When they first get into playing like little
Hmm.
preludes or little dances like that. I think then, do you have any recommendations on like how we should be sort of guiding them for dynamics?
Okay. Because I work in the church as a church musician as well. So one of my benefit, I have a like digital organ in my
Oh,
church. So like most all of my students have a chance to play Bach piece on an organ.
oh,
So like sometimes when we talk about okay, this is one voice, this is another one, from their imagination, they can't really understand what's that mean. But if I bring them to the church, the digital organ has two different layer of the keyboard and plus the foot pedal. And like they can really ignore the foot pedal just using the top two layer of the keyboard because top one that is the woodwind sound and bottom one is the string sound. So let them feel what's the difference. The one hand play on in the upper and one hand in the lower. So they switch and they understand what is the counterpoint right away. Right away. Okay. I think that's the most quick way they learn what is Baroque pieces should sound like because all the pipe is ringing. It has a long sustained note with like overtone. Another thing, we know for harpsichord, clavichord, including the organ, there's not a strong dynamic contrast. Yeah. Currently, we should thank the modern technique. So we have the digital piano. Most digital piano have the choice, the button of the
yeah,
clavier.
harpsichord.
Right, yeah, the harpsichord. That's right. So let them feel what is the touch because I have the hybrid piano and I can choose the sound the harpsichord. So when we choose the sound of a harpsichord and also the distance of the key is shorter. So like the key distance is not heavy as a modern piano. It's
Yes.
easy to attack to give
Yeah,
to create a sound. Yeah,
yeah, so it's
and
very
they will feel,
shallow.
oh, there's
Yeah.
not enough like dynamic range. But what
Hmm.
they can do, they still can sing, they still can provide where the phrase beginning and ending. At the end of the phrase, they still should release their hands to create another phrase start. So for me, I think for when we teach the Baroque piece, phrasing is more important than dynamic because dynamic is a kind of like no, sorry, horizontal thinking way in our mind. Because which note belong to which one, the tone, what kind of touch? It's the straight or the flat finger to create those notes. These notes belong to which voice. So that's a logical thinking. But for phrase, it depends on our singing. So the voice, our voice, how can we provide the phrase like that? Yeah, so that's my priority. But I think once the student understand what's a phrase, dynamic and natural. Yeah,
Okay.
the most beautiful, this is the like universal rules. The most great phrase is like the two parts is soft, and the middle part is loud, right? So it's generally crescendo and diminuendo. So all the dynamic shaping, it's organically created.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that that makes a lot of sense actually. I do similar stuff with my students with the harpsichord sound. Um, and then not a lot of people have that kind of especially students, right? So they need something that's very concrete. And I think for you to actually show them, right, on an organ what it would have sounded like back then. I think that's a very your students are very lucky to have that. Yeah. And so so great. Thank you very much. Anyone else have any thoughts? Any comments or questions? Well, I thought I learned a lot today with just how to look and then the different types of legato. Because as you said, students, they see a legato line and they just think legato. They just think they should just connect all the notes.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And then
thinking
they don't,
too.
yeah, and then they don't think anything else. When they see staccato, they're like, okay, short. And so there's nothing in between. And um, today's lecture, I think it teaches all of us to think a little bit more and think a little bit deeper about what we see on the score and what we see in the music.
Yeah, because in my experience, once I classify different type of slur or staccato, I just ask them what like this phrase we should using what kind of legato. So like most student now understand when we play the sonatina or sonata, like the scale passage, they
Mm-hmm.
know the sound should like this, right? It's connected. And when we learn some Schumann, Chopin, Brahms, they know the legato at least like this. And when they see some staccato, and I will ask them, it's a arm, forearm staccato, or the wrist staccato. So they, according to the previous and like the whole background dynamics or the texture, now in their understanding, they can see what's the difference between the staccato and the legato already. Yeah. Maybe it's not very precise, but at least they're starting to thinking about, okay, how this music notation reflect on the music expression. Mhm.
Yeah. No, this is very great. So thank you very much. If anyone else, let's see. Then Emma, the next lecture would be when?
Oh yeah, next lecture will be the next Tuesday, same time
Okay,
at
all right. Yeah, the
9 a.m.
next one is gonna be quite interesting because um sorry, he's also one of your former teachers, right?
That's
Bruce,
true. That's
yeah,
true.
Mr. Bruce Vogt. He's been very secretive and keeping it under wraps about what his topic is. And he adjudicated me too when I was very, very tiny. And then he was the I still remember the comments that he wrote for me was very philosophical. I mean, I was young, couldn't really understand, but now looking back and after teachers explaining to me, I understood. And they were actually very, very helpful. And so I'm sure next Tuesday's lecture is going to be quite a treat for all of us.
Yeah. I really look forward to his lecture. Yeah. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining today. And see you next week. Thank you,
Thank
Rosie.
you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.